All right. Welcome back to Eyes Open Media. Hope you guys are doing well. Prophet John here. Okay, so we got breaking news here. Kamala Harris, as she wants to be called, right? Because I think, in the beginning we were calling her Kamala Harris, right? And she's like, no, it's Kamala Harris, right? And so, okay, right? So it's like Kamala Harris drops out of the presidential race. Now, why is this a significant? It's significant because Charlie Shamp, remember Charlie Shamp? And I used to post Charlie Shamp's videos, as prophetic man, and he his I got a lot of backlash from posting Charlie Shamp's Kamala or whatever her name is Harris video prophetic word, okay, especially on my other channel Currency 365. People were, I mean the dislike button was being used and tormented. Okay, and people, they didn't believe the prophetic word of Charlie Shamp, and now, as you can see, that prophetic word has come to pass, and it was spot on. So salute to Charlie Shamp, Prophet Charlie Shamp, man, because he said that Kamala Harris would come out of nowhere and rise and rise and rise, and then she would plateau, and then the elites would tell her she's not going to win the presidential candidacy. She is not the one. And then she would have to make a decision, either to stick with their agenda or follow God's agenda for her life, because she is going to realize she's not going to win the presidency. I also then intervened and said, does Kamala Harris even have the royal blue bloodline in her? Because if you don't have the royal blue bloodline, then if you're not part of the royal blue bloodline, you have no shot of winning anything. So that was a question I asked the community, and no one gave me an answer for that. Okay, but either way, she's out. They told her that you're not going to win, and so everything started to go downwards since then. As when the elites told her you're not it, and you go do something else. Then we started to hear about her numbers were starting to drop off. Then we started to hear about people inside of her camp not being treated well. And I think one lady is going to be writing a book. I think they're all going to be writing a book. This is the chance to make a lot of money. So when writing a book would be the easiest way. So you're going to see people write books about Kamala Harris' campaign run and how she mistreated her workers and her campaign managers and things like that. And people are going to make millions of dollars off of Kamala Harris' name. Okay, and this is nothing new. Kamala Harris has been a person that we warned about. That is not it's a danger to, especially the African American community, as she's locked up so many people and has been against basically African Americans, trying to pretend in her campaign run, that she's down for African Americans, until she said, I'm not doing anything for the African American or the black community specifically in my in my campaign. I don't have anything specific for you people, right? That was a red flag, and I think that's where her campaign started to go downwards. And there's a bunch of clips out there of her saying, I'm not giving reparations to African Americans, and I'm not doing anything for the I don't have a black agenda or whatever you want to call it. Those clips are out there, and that's basically when her downfall began, because then all of the scholars out there came out and said, well, if this woman, look at her track record as in the police force, or as a in the crimes that she has done and the things that she neglected to do, that caused several African Americans to be killed, and didn't even care. Right? I think even an African American, a young lady, was like kidnapped or something. They bring it to Kamala Harris. She doesn't even care. She ignores the cops bring this to her, and she ignores it for several days or weeks. And so the families were suing the state or something like that, or the department, because Kamala Harris just didn't care that an African American woman was kidnapped, and she had better things to do, like floss her jewelry or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? So she was out of touch with the community. She doesn't she maybe she's embarrassed to be African American. Maybe at one point she was proud to be African American, and then she went to Hollywood and all that stuff, and hanging around Asians and Caucasians and others, and lost her way. I don't know, right? And I think this is like the same thing as like some people say about the Kardashians, right? Like the Kardashians hang around a lot of African Americans. They lost their Armenian way, right? People would say the same thing, right? You're hanging around all these African Americans. You dancing like them now. You're wearing clothes like them. Everything is for the African American. What happened to your Armenian roots, right? So maybe Kamala lost her way. Maybe she lost her way in there. But the fact that she opened her mouth and said she's not giving reparations to African Americans, and she doesn't have a black agenda or African American agenda. Those you can't say that when you're campaigning. That's a that's a no when you're campaigning, because people can use that against you everywhere you go. And so now you're basically digging yourself a hole, because when you make, and same thing with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders said the same thing. I'm not cutting a check for African Americans. It's not going to happen. But yet he watched them cut a check for the Jews, and he had no problem with that. So and he watched them cut a check for other groups that got reparations, and he had no problem with that. But for some reason, he has a problem with them cutting the check for African Americans. So that's going to be used against you. And so that these people are having problems because they're allowing the internet to take these sound bites of them and then be able to use it all over the place. And so they don't have a chance to win, right? And so that's what's going on. And then when you treat your people, when you treat your campaign managers bad, when you treat everybody around you bad, and this is not just Kamala Harris. This is a lot of the Democratic politicians out there. They treat even the people that are not even in politics, even the people that are not actually politicians, but are around what's that woman's name that everybody's like literally hating now? She's always on the Breakfast Club. She's a liberal. What is her name? I can't remember her name. I think some of you guys know what I'm talking about, though. Like, everybody talks about her. Like, she has a nasty attitude. She thinks she's better than everybody because she's lighter skinned. I can't remember her name, but I think some of you guys know who I'm talking about. But she gets herself into a lot of problems because of her mouth. Um, and this is not just Kamala Harris. It's a lot of the liberals and Republicans and the politicians that think because they're in these positions and they have a little bit of money, they think that they can just do whatever they want. They don't have to treat people right. They're always going to be okay, and it comes back to bite you, right? And so Kamala Harris has dropped out for good reasons. People are talking all types of nasty stuff about her now, and including her own campaign managers and assistants and stuff, saying it was the worst environment ever. We were treated like crap. I'm glad that these people are saying these things now and not just keeping quiet, and because that's what happens a lot of times. A lot of people feel like they can't speak out and they can't talk, or they'll get in trouble and things. And I noticed that a lot with the liberals. They can't speak out. If they're against abortion, they can't speak out. If they're against LGBTQ, RSTUV, they can't speak out. They can't speak out about Planned Parenthood. That's why you never hear the liberals on social media speak out about that stuff, because they can't. They're so scared to speak out because they know there's going to be punishment behind that. And to me, that's not a political party. That's a cult. Okay, when you can't speak your mind about something, that's a cult environment. Okay, so the fact that you can't speak out, that's a problem. But I'm glad that these people in Kamala Harris campaign spoke out. They had the privilege and the right to do that in America, to speak out, to let people know that this woman is evil, right? This woman treats her people bad. She hates her own community. She might even hate her own skin color, right? So if you put her in a lie detector test, I bet she wants to be Caucasian, right? I mean, that's all signs point to that, and the way she lives and the way she does does things and the way she like lies about, yeah, I was with Tupac or I was with, oh my God, like it was just it. The things that she has said has become punchlines and memes, and it was a big joke. Her whole campaign was a joke, and we knew that from start to finish. We knew she would rise, and then but we knew that all the things she has done would literally be her downfall, right? Especially not even backing your own people, um, was her downfall, right? So there you go. Kamala Harris has dropped out of the presidential race. A lot of you people are happy. A lot of you people are celebrating. Okay, so the more they drop out, the better chance it gives Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to win anyways, but the more these people drop out, the more the higher percentage Donald Trump has to just literally wiping the map red in the next 2020 elections. Anyways, that's it. Talk to you guys later. Eyes open. Peace out. God bless. Bye.